Welcome back to the Double A Podcast. I'm here with
Alyssa Felix.
and a special guest weighing in at 1.2 kilograms, number 50, Alexis Garcia.
What's up? Thank you for inviting me to this Double A podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay.
I'm ready to discuss with you guys.
What story did you pick?
I had the yellow wallpaper. What I'm going to be talking about is the yellow wallpaper.
What was your question to go?
Oh, it was, in what ways did societal expectations in the 16th century affect women back then?
They were treated bad.
Yeah, they were treated
Treated
bad.
bad. They looked.
It's because they were treated bad because during that time period they didn't have any rights, and so
It wasn't just rights. It was also like they couldn't do anything. Like
they couldn't.
They were
write.
meant for cooking, cleaning. That's what people believe that they were meant for. Nothing else in them.
Yeah, which is false.
Yeah. You can look at now.
Yeah.
And a lot of men treated their wives, or it was basically just wives.
Beat
back
them,
then.
bro.
Well, yeah, would treat
They
them
beat them like the
poorly.
was a pound.
Yes, would treat them poorly. And in the book, it actually says, if a physician of a high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter with one but a temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do? And in this book, the main character talks about how she feels kind of like belittled by the fact that her husband is making her feel the way she does, and she can't really say anything about it because she can't speak up about anything. And in this story, like, she is kind of crazy, but she kind of talks about it, how it's with her husband per se, and also with the way that he treats her.
I agree with you. I agree with that. What do you have to say?
I disagree.
Why?
I disagree.
Why?
She was crazy, man.
Okay.
She was crazy because, in the beginning she starts off by like saying that, like, oh, so there's no in the story they say there's no such thing as depression or something like that, something along those lines, and then eventually later on in the story, the husband tries to help her out, and when they go in the house, the mold starts getting to her, and then slowly she starts seeing the wallpaper starts spinning, doing all spin moves.
So you blame the mold?
Yeah, because, well, her mental health wasn't good in the beginning because she lost a kid. So that's what I think with that. I think she was already depressed when the story started, when she started writing that dialogue. Matter of fact, I believe that she started writing that dialogue because she was depressed, and then she found that as an outlet.
Okay. Like a fix. Almost.
Yeah. To even not trust herself by the end, because she said she doesn't trust anybody to read this book, and the only person that read that book was herself, because she's the only one that knew about it.
I think that, well, yeah, I don't think it was mainly the husband's fault. Like, mainly the husband's, like, he didn't he did kind of, like, say things to her and everything, but it wasn't, her issues and everything wasn't mainly stemming from him. Yeah, and I think that for sure it wasn't just him, but he had a role and a play in it, and, like, talking about the issues that she had, giving her meds and everything, and then which made her kind of go crazy.
Actually, another part when if we're talking about specifically about the 16th century, is that in the story, when they're talking about how she was perceived, would be the husband would make it sound like she's A-okay when he's outside, when he knows that she's crazy.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have to say it was just the mold that was making her crazy. Like, her husband didn't really care for her, and that would really mess with her head, you know. And like, how would you feel if you were locked in a room all day because of your husband not being home? Oh, I mean, sorry, your wife. My bad, cuz, but your wife not being home. She's giving you medicine and having you sleep all day, and then having you on a certain meal plan.
Actually, she didn't sleep all day.
I mean, but majority.
She didn't sleep all day. Matter of fact, she would pretend to sleep to go look at that wallpaper.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that entertained her. Because her husband couldn't entertain her. Her own baby couldn't even entertain her.
Do you hear that man's word? That's Insanity.
But a deal too, as well, with her having the pregnancy and everything. I feel like she did have like strong hormones and strong feelings after her pregnancy, which I think is like insane. Like obviously back then they didn't really know what it was and didn't really realize or care for it. But I think it's really important that the things and the emotions and the hormones that happen after women during pregnancy can, not always, but can be like, can make them different. Different. Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with you, Alyssa. I don't know what updates you're talking about.
Do you have any takeaway with that?
Well, actually, I do. I have another piece of evidence. So,
What?
the other piece of evidence is in the book. It says, I get unreasonably angry with John sometimes. I'm sure I never used to be so sensitive. I think it is due to this nervous condition. So she talks about she gets angry and she's super sensitive, and she says, I'm sure I never used to be so sensitive, meaning like her emotions are changing because of John and because of the things that he was doing and how he was treating her, making her feel like her emotions weren't important. She thinks it's due to the nervous condition, and John kind of talks to her about it, like saying that, oh, she has issues and stuff like that, which in the first quote I was talking about, her saying that her husband was a physician and everything, and he was normal, he was a normal guy, but that no one would believe her when she would say anything like about how John was treating her. What are you able to do?
I agree with that. What about you?
I agree with
Oh
it
my
too.
god.
I agree with it too. And don't disrespect me like this on the broadcast. You invited me into your double A podcast.
You need to sign into your
Nah,
computer.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm straight.
All right. So now we're gonna talk about the Frankenstein story, and that's
That's me. That's greatness right here. My question for Frankenstein was, how did societal expectations and natural law affect Frankenstein's ability to just live his life like everybody else? And matter of fact, my answer to that is that fear is a natural feeling. So like, if you see something like ugly and like disgusting and rotten and moldy and dead, you're gonna trip out and you're like, get that zombie out of here, and chase him with a pitchfork.
Pitchfork is 16th century vibe, so I do.
Alright. But yo, you gonna ask me questions, bro?
Wait, that was your question.
I answered my question.
Well, I got a question for you.
What's up, bud?
Let me see the mic, please.
What's up?
Why did you choose the Frankenstein story? What brings you close to Frankenstein? Like, why? It's like, why?
You wanna know why?
I want to know why. Here you
You wanna
go.
know why? Because we were told to.
Yeah, I know, but like, you could have chose between the yellow wallpaper,
Well, can I actually,
which is an amazing
can I
story.
tell you what this is? So with Frankenstein, it portrays a person having a god complex, and he wants to create his own life after him losing his mother. So he creates his life, and then he finds out it's horrible. Like, you shouldn't do such a thing. You shouldn't betray. God. You should leave that to God only. And I feel like that's where it got me hooked. There's like, he effed around and found out. But in the end, Frankenstein ends up feeling bad because he feels like no one wants him, not even his creator wants him. So, and it also says that in the final scene of the book, not the book, in the text, where it's Frankenstein talking to the scientist. What's his name again?
Dr. Frankenstein that creates a monster.
Oh, what's his first name, bro?
Victor?
Yeah, when Frankenstein's talking to Victor.
No, it's Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah, and he's also Frankenstein.
Oh, I thought he was just a monster.
You can see both ways.
Because
You know what I'm talking about,
Because
though.
right here it says
But
the scientist's
you
name.
know what I'm talking
Let
about,
him use
though.
his evidence.
Let me use my evidence, sir. It says
Yeah.
a young Swiss scientist named Victor Frankenstein sets out to learn a secret creating of life. For 2 years, he devotes himself to studying chemistry and human anatomy. Finally, after assembling a creature from human remain, he prepares to use an electrical charge to bring it to life. So Dr. Frankenstein, he created a monster and brought it to life, and he did.
I was gonna say a lot of people do get that mixed up, where they say Frankenstein is the monster, but he was actually the creator, and the monster is actually.
But
just
you
like
could
the
also
monster.
think of it as Frankenstein as a monster for creating such a creature.
Yes, that is true.
So there's two monsters in this story, correct? You have Dr. Frankenstein who is a monster for bringing someone from the dead, stealing remaining body parts from others, and then
He didn't steal, actually.
No, give birth back in the frame.
They were given to him.
oh,
Yeah, brother. So, Victor got these off of. That's his name, right? Victor?
Victor Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein.
Victor got it. So, Victor got the bodies off of people donating them.
Oh my bad, I thought he stole them. What?
like getting so close to you.
Oh my bad, my bad. Alright, go ahead, as you're saying.
What are we talking about right now? Oh, so Frank actually got those bodies off of.
You said donations.
Yeah, scientific donations, which is like he grabbed these pristine body parts. He saw them and he thought beautiful. So he thought if he put beautiful and beautiful together, he would get great. He would get something beautiful, like something that God created.
Yeah.
Turns out it was hideous. Yellow skin, looked disgusting. He created a monster.
Which makes sense.
And so he leaves. He then takes off. But to go back to where I was, and the last scene of Victor Frankenstein and the monster,
Audio isn't
but
gonna go to
the
you.
monster portrays that he's been left alone without his creator, without anybody, and he just wants to live his own life like everybody else, like every other human being that he was brought back to do so.
Did we remember the reason why the monster was created?
Yes.
For his mom.
What?
Or his wife. It was his mom, right?
This was like
His wife. Because his wife died.
he wanted
His
it
half sister.
was a project. He made this. He created this monster
Because he was so obsessed with his wife.
Yeah, and it was a project to see if he could bring his wife back to life. So he made it this monster to see because
Because he wanted to bring her back
he
to
wants
life.
to bring her back to life. He wants
Yeah.
to feel loved again. But since he created this monster,
It showed him that he can't do such a thing. He can't.
Sorry, audience. Oh.
Oh my bad. I'm just kidding. But what were we talking about?
Yeah, like why Frankenstein made the monster? Why
He
Frankenstein
made it for his wife.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But I'm saying like
He found out that he can't do God's work.
yeah,
You know, and
that
he
he couldn't create his own.
couldn't create life, couldn't do anything about it. And then in the end of the story, the monster becomes very lonely and the narrator creates a sympathetic feeling towards the monster for being left alone and to give us to be sympathetic towards him, even though he killed people in the house after Victor left. But yet we still get this feeling of him being confined, alone in his mind, in the world that he wasn't supposed to be in, that he left, that wasn't supposed to come back.
Yes.
Yep.
Any question?
I kind of think of this story right here at the end of paragraph 5, where it says, "Wandering spirits, if they indeed wander and do not rest in your narrow beds, allow me to faint happiness or take me as companion away from enjoyed life." Right, I was looking at that.
The monster wants to be embraced.
Yeah,
He
embrace
wants
the
to be
unknown.
loved.
He wants to embrace the unknown and explore new beginnings. Hey, is that right now? Huh?
I think that's so real. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
What about
that's
you,
all.
Lex?
Well, what about me?
What about you? Or
Yeah.
what do you like? What's your takeaway from both of these texts?
Yeah,
Well,
from both of texts.
Okay, so from the yellow wallpaper, I think that people need to be listened a lot more, because John, he barely ever listened to his wife, and he was barely ever home, and so his wife couldn't, communicate with him because, he was never home.
He started crazy.
Yeah, and then she just became crazy from that, and the only thing that was keeping her entertained was the yellow wallpaper, because she started to see herself in it, and then it just took her away from.
Seeing herself free.
Yeah.
Cause she'll see that lady in the garden.
But there
people
really,
outside.
but there really wasn't people outside.
It was just her head.
Just her imagination, correct. And so I just feel like in that story, people need to be heard in any circumstance or any problem that they have. And then in the Frankenstein story, you can't try to create something in God's world, because we were made to be here and to help create your own family and spread His word, But in Dr. Frankenstein's world, he thought he could be like God and try to make someone try to bring the dead back up. But then he did that, and he messed around. He found out, and then now he has this monster that he hates, and it's no bueno. You feel me? But
Also, on the last part, he hates the fact that the monster killed him. He also hates the fact that he created it. He created it and he killed his. For sure his brother. I'm pretty sure he killed other people inside that house. But all that guilt is pushed onto him because the monster doesn't have any guilt. So that guilt is gonna go straight towards him because he's the one that left it there, created it.
Yeah.
Just set it all up pretty much.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Yep.
I agree. I think that concludes this podcast. Thank you, Alexis, for being our guest.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And this was the Double A podcast, last episode ever, senior year.
First and last.
2024. Signing off.
Deuces.